everybody to another Q&A video with Hannah McNeely. I put out on my Instagram at Hannah_McNeely. Send me your Q's so I can give you some A's. And here we go. How good is your French? Are you fluent? Definitely not fluent. 3 years ago when I was spending some time in France practicing and talking with people and making French friends, I had like conversational French, but definitely don't feel natural. Is my husband vegan? No, and actually we make it work. It's totally cool. He eats a lot of vegan with me. We've had quite the evolution in our relationship when it comes to being vegan. And I think the hardest part with your partner not being vegan is more like the emotional aspect than the practical aspect, which I talk a lot about in my new course that's coming out on January 2nd. This is the official launch date. January 2nd to 11th are the official dates of my digital course, Vegan for Good. This is for people who want to go vegan for life. They're ready to make it stick and they're ready to go vegan for good. This isn't for people who just want to eat more vegetables. This course is for people who are ready to go vegan. I know a lot of people struggle with having non-vegan partners, like wondering how they make it work, how to do the emotional part, the practical part, and so I made an entire module in my course called So Your Partner or Family Isn't Vegan, and we talk all about it. We go very in depth and I share all my tips and tricks. Because honestly, I have learned so much over the years. How to get started as a YouTuber? Well, you know what? It's like a very saturated market these days, and it's a really tough job because there are so many wonderful new faces coming out, lots of amazing competition, and it's a lot of work. My best advice would be use your phone to film and don't invest in any equipment until you know that you can make this a career, just because equipment's very expensive. Or if you do want to get some equipment, I really love the Canon G7X as a vlogging camera. I recently upgraded to a Fujifilm and it's a lot more work to set up, but it's a higher quality camera. And my final tip would be yourself. Don't copy anyone else. You can look to other people for inspiration, you know, video ideas when you're in a little lull or something, in a rut, but just be yourself because there's only one of you and everyone else is already taken. Someone's asking about like my mental health. Other people are asking like, are you happy? I'm actually doing great. I have so many amazing things going on in my life right now, and I have always been the kind of person that thrives on change and looking forward to things and having like purpose and goals and ambitions, and I'm working on a lot of things right now. One of the biggest things is the Vegan for Good digital course, which is coming out January 2nd through 11th. And it's just been such a huge part of like my purpose the last few months. And then not to mention my baby just turned 1, which was just such a huge milestone for us as a family, like 1 year down of parenthood, and wow, we are loving it. I know, like, I'm supposed to be like tired. I'm a little tired. Last week we had some rough sleep, but ultimately I love being a mom so much and I cannot wait for baby number 2. And I have other questions, actually, a lot of questions asking about like future kids, how many kids you want to have. I'm talking really fast because there are so many questions and I'm trying to fit them in. My decision about babies, and we had a really easy time. We got pregnant the first time we tried, so I'm guessing it's gonna go the same next time, but who knows. My plan is when this baby is done breastfeeding, I'd like to try for baby number 2, because I hear that breastfeeding can be really difficult when you're pregnant, and I just want my baby to get all the nutrition he needs from breast milk, and I'm assuming he'll breastfeed for about 2 years. That's sort of like what we're going for. And speaking of baby sleep, I have some more questions about that. I have so much to say. If you are a mama with a little baby, I feel like I could just yap on and on and on about baby sleep. I love this topic. I find it fascinating that there are so many different opinions, there's so many different philosophies, and after a year of going through it, listening to everything, following 50 different Instagram accounts about baby sleep, with varying opinions, not all one kind. I think the first year of your baby's life, you're gonna be tired. And you can do what you can to get them to sleep. But the philosophy I tend to lean towards is that a baby is gonna sleep like a baby, and we can't expect them to sleep like adults. And I personally don't let my baby cry, and I want you guys to know, absolutely no judgment for, if you let your baby cry. I totally get it. Like, when you're sleep deprived, you're just like, desperate to get some sleep after months and months of like not getting sleep and you're so tired. I completely understand resorting to that, especially when you think it's your only option. Almost everyone I know sleep trains or does cry it out in some form. I have never done cry it out this whole year. This just works for us. We love co-sleeping safely. We are very informed about how to co-sleep safely, and we've been doing that from the beginning, and I get a lot more rest that way while still being able to meet my baby's needs throughout the night. So parenting doesn't stop when you go to bed. Parenting doesn't stop. You're not like off the clock. So I have to parent my baby through the night, and I feel very encouraged about his sleep right now. We have a plan to get him out of our bed, and I actually want to make a whole video about gently getting my baby to sleep through the night, in quotes, because that's just such a loaded statement. One more thing I want to say about baby sleep before moving on is that if your baby is not sleeping through the night, this is not a reflection on your motherhood, or like if you're a, you know, like you're just, it doesn't mean you're a bad mom. All right? Sleep is a developmental thing for babies, just like all of their other milestones. So like if he's not ready to sleep, he's not ready to sleep. And yeah, I have a lot to say about that. Also remembering like I've only have one baby and every baby's so different. So my baby sleeps different than your baby, for example. What age are you most excited for your baby to be? We cannot wait for our baby to start saying the darndest things, like 2 or 3 years old. Very excited for talking. And I love 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 actually. I love kids like a lot. I've never been a baby person. I love my baby and I love spending time with him, but I am definitely more of a kid person, so I'm really excited to have like a buddy around and to be able to like bake together. And I'm so excited for homeschooling. Tell me in the comments if you're a homeschooling mother too. I'm very, very excited about that. What advice do you have for someone who is struggling with overeating and food addiction? I saw a lot of these questions actually. I used to overeat all the time. I used to binge and then restrict, although I don't think I had an eating disorder. I think I was just sort of like a disordered way of eating. I'm not an expert about disordered eating, but I actually have a whole module in my Vegan for Good digital course about food freedom. And my friend Tara Kemp helped me create that module. Food freedom can sometimes be thrown around in diet culture. And I understand, like, you could just be like, you have food freedom on this diet, but in reality there's like all these restrictions, and it's definitely like a loaded term. But here's like the big takeaway is that you have the choice in any situation. You have the choice to overeat, you have the choice to restrict, you have the choice to eat with love, and you have the choice to act out of fear. And you know, it's more coming down to choice rather than like restriction. And that's what freedom really is like you have the choice. So if you're really struggling with any sort of disordered eating, especially if you want to be vegan, I highly recommend Tara Kemp. Check her out on Instagram. I'll put her handle right here. What do you value now way more than you did in your 20s? That's a great question. I actually have a whole video I just put out about regrets from my 20s. And I didn't include this, but I think what I value now more than in my 20s is rest. And I was very addicted to productivity in my 20s. I'm still a little bit. I still have some workaholic tendencies, but I'm a lot better, and I can rest knowing I'm making a really good choice for myself rather than feeling guilty. I know some people can't relate. Some people are like, wait, what? But others are like, yeah, I feel you. It's just this weird personality thing. Were you scared to become a mom? Yeah, I have talked about this a lot. I wasn't scared about like giving birth or anything. I was always very excited to give birth. I was scared to give up so much personal time. Why wouldn't you live in Los Angeles? Ugh, Los Angeles is crowded. It's like dirty. It's so much traffic, and it's just not pretty, and there's not a lot of nature, you know? So it's just not my jam. If you live in LA, I mean to each his own, I guess, but I don't know anyone who like enjoys Los Angeles. So I've got some people asking about like not showing my baby's face and things like that. You guys, just like briefly, it is the hardest thing not sharing my sweet baby with the world. It is so hard because, first of all, cutest baby ever. like, it's a joke because like every mom thinks their baby's the cutest baby ever, but he's like the cutest baby objectively. I know I'm biased, but objectively, like, super cute. And it's extremely awkward. So like, one, it's hard because he's so cute and I'm like, oh, I just want to share this picture, I just want to eat him. And then it's so awkward because like my channel, my Instagram is about me. It's my life. And my baby is my life. So it's so weird and awkward, and I don't like it, and I go back and forth all the time. I think I made the right decision, and I actually get a lot of support from you guys saying I really support you, like, respecting his privacy. So thank you. It means a lot to me because I go back and forth all the time because nearly everyone else shows their baby online. As I shared in a previous video, if I had the baby like 5 years ago, I would have shown him, no question. I just feel like because I have a better understanding of the internet and my own experience on the internet and like being criticized and picked apart by people, like, I don't want that for my child. So I don't know, I go back and forth constantly, and I love being able to like share moments and share motherhood in a creative way by still sort of like covering his face and respecting his privacy. I do the best I can, and if you're thinking of like, I don't know, being judgmental about my choices, just remember, like, we're all making the best choices that we can, being parents in this new digital age where there's no privacy, and you know a lot about my life, and we're all just doing the best we can. And I think I made the right decision. Eric and I made it together. It's just, it's really awkward. Talk us through postpartum weight loss. I am so excited. I'm gonna make a video about this topic, I think in January when I launch the course, because weight loss is a big component to going vegan for a lot of people. Not everyone, a lot of people go vegan because they want to be at their optimal weight. And I will say one thing about postpartum weight loss is, like, there is no rush. It is not a race. It's like, I did not put any pressure on myself. I kept saying, as far as I'm concerned, I can say I just had a baby for about a year. So who cares what you weigh? Your baby does not care what you look like or how flabby your tummy still is. Like, who cares? I eat well and I move. I don't like exercise lately, mostly because I just don't have time. But I, go on walks and do a little bit of yoga here and there. And I eat in a way that supports my optimal weight and does not require me to push myself beyond my own limits for exercise. Did you have cheat days with meat when you went vegan? For me, transition is so hard. This is such a great question. I have been learning a lot about transitioning to being plant-based, being vegan, because it took me a long time to transition. I never really recognized why it was so hard for me until, these past few years when I did a lot of reflecting and learning and had a lot of people in my life go vegan and then not go vegan, stop and then go vegan. And I figured out a lot of reasons why it's really hard for people to transition. So here's the thing, most people do a lot better with a gradual transition rather than doing it overnight or going cold tofurkey. If you're doing it overnight, that's amazing. Very few personalities can have success with that. Most people do better with the crowd it out method, where they're taking their plate, their regular plate, and instead of taking away the animal foods, they're adding more plants to their plate, more rice, more beans, more carrots, more broccoli, more potatoes, and you can only eat so many calories in a day, so naturally your animal products are going to be pushed off of your plate because you're crowding them out with plant food. And I do recommend transitioning gradually, having grace on yourself, for yourself. Now that's all good and jolly when you're talking about transitioning, but what if you have these like major cravings? Actually, I am really passionate about this. I have a whole module dedicated to cravings and temptations and how to deal in the Vegan for Good digital course. It's coming out on, did I already tell you? Yeah, I did. January 2nd through 11th. So I'm just very excited because I just picked my launch dates. I was very nervous about saying it out loud, but now that I've said it out loud, I have to say it out loud many times. January 2nd through 11th, Vegan for Good digital course. In that module, we talk all about cravings. It's such a heavy topic, and when I started writing that module, I didn't realize like how long that module was going to be and how in-depth. Here's the biggest takeaway, guys. You cannot muscle through cravings. Cravings have nothing to do with tricking your body or disciplining yourself, okay? It's not like you're bad, you're weak, you're not strong enough because you're having cravings. There's so much deeper than that, and most of the time it's a psychological thing rather than a physiological thing. Though in the course we talk about the physiological aspect that it sometimes is, and it's so complicated so I can't go into it right now. But I'll share this one tip for like meat cravings. If you just want to try something new, maybe this will sort of satisfy you in the meantime as you're transitioning, is to make crispy tofu. All you have to do is get extra firm tofu, dry it out best you can with some towels, and then chop it up into cubes and put some tamari or soy sauce, little maple syrup, and nutritional yeast. Get it nice and marinated. Bake it in the oven at 425 on some parchment paper. It takes about 30 minutes. You can flip it or not, and you just get that nice crispy, dried out texture, and it's really delicious. And soy sauce has like a more of an umami flavor anyway, which is what you're getting a lot when you cook your meat. So it might be a nice transition, fun to satisfy that craving. Oh, I love this question. Do you struggle with keeping the spark alive with your husband during pregnancy and postpartum? I made a video, I think it was a Q&A video actually, about sex after baby, but I was only a few months postpartum, and now that I'm a year after, I have even more to say. First, your relationship with your partner. Let me make it about me, okay? Because everyone's situation is different. My relationship with my partner needs to be top priority. Yes, I'm taking care of my baby. My baby is, he's my baby, so he's everything to me, and I'm obsessed with him. But I can't lose the love, the sex, the passion, the fire, the romance for my partner. And I love this topic because I think a lot of us don't realize like how good sex can be. I think a lot of us don't realize that. My dad watches my videos. Dad, can you just like skip this question? I'm just gonna talk about sex for just a second. I think monogamous sex is so hot. Like, it's so wonderful, and it's so like vulnerable and deep, and it's so passionate. And yes, I'm a big fan of monogamy. I think polyamorous love situations are, I have no words, but I did make a whole video about it, so I guess I do have words about it. I'm not a fan of polyamory. I'm a fan of monogamy. I'm monogamous all the way, and I'm a fan of like no porn, and just like we're fully in this relationship together. We're not messing around here. We see each other and we get vulnerable. Okay, so it's just a lot. It's a lot talking about sex, but I love this topic. Once you're out of that like 4th trimester and you start feeling a little bit like yourself again, at least for me, I find it really important to like take care of myself and not be gross. Now, you might take this advice like, what? Okay, this is advice I have to tell myself because I could be real gross, like walking around in my sweatpants all day, big knot in my hair. When I was pregnant and just like gassy, I gave myself permission. I'm like, Eric, I will be burping these 9 months, and that's just what's gonna happen. And then as soon as I had the baby, I'm like, hey, no more of this disgusting burping. Like, I just want to act a little bit ladylike. I want to be cute. And if you're feeling good in your skin, and if you take care of yourself, you're gonna feel sexier, and you're gonna desire sex more. Whew, this could be a whole video. And not only that, like when you're taking care of yourself and looking your best and being cute, you're gonna inspire your partner to do the same for themselves. Another thing too that we have to remember postpartum is like our body has to heal. So if you're like super early postpartum, go see a pelvic floor physical therapist so you can get your pelvic floor in order. Another thing, okay, like go slow. Just like talk to each other, be open. Sex, I think, in my opinion, should not be this secret between you and your partner. Like, this should be an open communication about where you're at emotionally and also physically. And after birth, if you tore, it can really hurt. It hurt for a long time for me. It took her for a long time, and the first time it didn't hurt, I was like, yeah, I'm back. And then there's the other aspect of just like being so dang busy, and the baby sleeps in here. So so where are we having special Hannah and Eric time? That will be the couch. Last thing, like if sex is not, like if you're struggling to keep the fire alive and the sex and the romance and the passion, I think sex is a lot like exercise. So if you don't want to have sex, but in your head you're like, we should have sex, right? Like we should connect physically and emotionally right now, but all I want to do is sit here and watch 30 Rock and eat chocolate cake. Not speaking from experience. When you need to make yourself go on a run. You're just like, oh, I don't want to go on a run. But I'm just going to put my shoes on, just going to put my sports bra on and get outside, see what happens. And then you're running and then you're so glad you do it. You never regret going on a run. I think sex is like that. How's cloth diapering going? I love, love, love cloth diapers. I have gotten to the habit of anytime it's sunny and warm out, I hang dry my diapers. I just think it helps. It's better for them. They're not as stinky. It's just better. That would be my tip. Shave, wax, what's your preference? I shave. Sometimes. I don't like it. How do you take care of your hair? I don't wash my hair. I just stopped because I don't like my shampoo. My other shampoo I really liked was too expensive and I'm sort of frugal. So now I just like rinse it with water and I hope for the best and I go like this. I'm like, does it look okay? What's your favorite meal? Definitely lentil dal over rice with the yellow bird sriracha. Has your cycle returned? Yeah, mine returned around 6 months. And it's sort of, I think it's regulated now. I think it takes a while to sort of like get into a regular rhythm. And the end. That's not a very interesting conversation to me. I've never had cycle issues, thankfully. I think one issue, and I'm not making any claims here, I'm just thinking for myself, that I never took birth control. And I'm really grateful I never fell into that because a lot of people I know who took birth control struggle with that side of things. I'm just glad I never did. Oh my gosh, pros and cons of living in California. Don't get me started, you guys. We have great weather. There's your pro. A lot of questions about like getting into shape after baby. Oh, I didn't even say this about like postpartum weight loss, like feeling good in your body after baby. So number one, it's not about being skinny. I don't weigh myself. I don't know how much I weigh. I just kind of judge if I lost weight by how my clothes fit. I think a lot of people do the same thing. I do want to say, I noticed I had breastfeeding struggles in the beginning for months. I had many different lactation consultants and it was so stressful. It was like if you ever saw me like on the brink a few months after I had the baby, that's what that was. It was just like, I was so committed to breastfeeding and we got through it. And now we're on the other side where we love breastfeeding. It was so stressful in the beginning that I felt like I was really holding on to a lot of weight. And as soon as I held on to the breastfeeding issues for a long time. Even when they were resolved, I was still like emotionally hadn't recovered. It was kind of a traumatic experience. And I'm sure a lot of moms can relate to that because breastfeeding can be really, really a struggle when you're a new mom for a lot of people. And then when I realized that we were past, I had to get a pediatrician to tell me like, you need to relax and like do some yoga. Like he is fine. You guys are great. Like, look at you guys, you're fine. And I was like, oh, we're past it. And like, just like a lot of release. And then I went to Maui in May and spent some real quality time with my family over there. And it was a big healing experience. And it was like, after that, my weight was like, and all the baby weight or my feeling, you know, just didn't feel good in my body, didn't feel great, and it just all left. I don't know, kind of. Like it's a lot of it is how I eat. Like I eat whole foods, plant-based. I don't eat junk food. I don't eat vegan junk. Rarely, like occasionally for fun every once in a while, but mostly I'm eating whole plant foods, not discipline, but because I love it. And stress is so huge, guys. Like if you're stressed about being a mom, take a big deep breath with me right now. You're doing great. You're doing great. I just feel like the stress sometimes, for me it's in my gut, and I feel it like here. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go. And I think that's a really big component to feeling good in your body. Yeah. Do you find YouTube fulfilling? Oh my gosh, great question. In my regrets video I just made, I talked about how, like my regret of like not taking YouTube seriously for so many years. For a long time I didn't find it fulfilling. I was very like confused about this job because it feels like fake. And I feel like you guys know me, like I'm like one of those like real people, like trying to be as authentic as I can. I'm kind of a 4 on the Enneagram, so authenticity is like super important to me. And I had to realize that there is a way to be my authentic self and be a business person and, you know, run this whole YouTube business situation. And I now find it very fulfilling because also I have to let go of algorithm, views, comments, criticism, just let go of all of it because I'm doing what I'm doing. And if people don't resonate with it, that's fine. And if the algorithm does not serve me that day, who cares? There's nothing I can do. And if something gets a low views, I cannot choose to be stressful. I need to wrap this up because my baby needs to take a nap in here soon.